From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2459, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, December 18th, 2024. If there was a satellite in orbit that was made out of wood, and it had amateur radio as part of the payload, and you could make a contact through it, would you? Well, would you? Newsline anchor Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, has the full grain details.
Our top story takes us to Japan, where officials at JAXA, the Japanese space agency, cheered on December 9th as they watched the International Space Station's deployment of LignoSat, an amateur radio CubeSat made largely of wood. The satellite, which arrived at the ISS a month ago, has been a high-profile experiment in avoiding space junk by using biodegradable components, in this case, magnolia wood. The long-awaited joint launch by NASA and JAXA makes yet another satellite available for amateur radio. The satellite has a CW beacon on 435.82 megahertz, plus or minus Doppler.
To view the launch, visit the YouTube link for the JAXA channel in the text version of this week's newscast at arnewsline.org. Staying in space, the Meteors are putting on a show at the moment, and maybe even giving a little boost to your last chances of DX via meteor scatter for the year.
The final major meteor shower of the year, the Geminids, hits its peak on the 14th and 15th of December, but will remain active until December 24th, Christmas Eve. It's a prolific shower that could be obscured by the full moon in some regions during the key peak moments, but radio offers some solace. If you can't see the showers, you can tune them in on FM radio, according to FMDXer Nick Langdon, writing on the RadioWorld.com website. Nick writes that a sensitive FM radio, tuned to an open frequency, might be able to receive a somewhat rewarding message from high above as a series of audible bursts known as pings. He also recommends a directional Yagi FM band antenna if you have one. Of course, those hams amongst us who enjoy meteor scatter will likely be tuning into radio too, namely 2 meters and 6 meters. They'll no doubt be chasing those ionized trails left behind in search of some memorable DX. This is Kent Peterson, KC0 DGY.
In the midst of a cold winter here in the United States, what audio could impart more warmth than the sound of AM?
You'll receive a warm welcome when you check into the annual AM night of the Greater Cincinnati Amateur Radio Association on December 26th. Pre-net check-ins begin at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and then it continues well into the night. Set your rig to AM mode and tune to 1.936 megahertz. A number of the check-ins are expected to be from ops who have converted some broadcast rigs, but you can also expect to hear military radios and some from the golden age of AM broadcast radio. Of course, if you have a contemporary rig and it offers you AM mode, join in. AM Night will also appear on NetLogger to help keep track of check-ins. This is Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, Kent Peterson, KC0 DGY, Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.